Hello and welcome to this continuing first look exploring session looking at Law Tricks by John Day, or by the title we much prefer, Who Would Have Thought It? Which is a very, I seem to say at the end of every scene when the plot changes direction and you have no idea why things are happening, which has been very entertaining, occasionally problematic, but so far the author seems to be balancing the issues of comedy and satire and other things reasonably well. But of course, it's the final session on this play, and the curse of the final session may bring everything thudding down to the ground, and we all go, which often happens with a comedy. But we shall see. Fingers crossed. All will be well. All manner of things shall be well. Reading today from the second half of the play, from Act 3, Scene 2 onwards, we have reading second Gentlewoman, Emilia and Page is...
Francis Cox, voice actor, coming at you from Amsterdam.
Reading Horatio and Angelo is...
Alan in Suffolk.
Reading first Gentlewoman, Adam and Joculo is...
Rachel in Canada.
Reading Lurdo, third Gentlewoman, and possibly the Epilogue as well, is...
Sarah Blake, actor, writer and director based in Germany.
And reading Countess and Julio is...
Hi, I'm Lynn. I'm just a nerd. I live in the northwestern United States.
And reading Polymetes today, joining us for the first time, is...
Olga. I'm an actor, voiceover, and educator from Moscow, Russia.
And hopefully we'll have Eric joining us a little later on to fill in some parts. Otherwise, I'm going to be dancing around a bit. There's a few people popping in and out this session, but I'm sure it will all make perfect sense until the final act, when it all comes crashing down around my ankles. But without any further ado, we will crack on. I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I will be reading stage directions as well as, any additional parts that I may have to read if necessary. So, Act 3, Scene 2. Enter a Countess, 3 or 4 young gentlewomen, 3 or 4. So if we can afford a fourth, we'll put them on stage. Only 3, I think, speak, unless I've made a mistake. 3 or 4 young gentlewomen sewing by an hourglass.
Quick, pretty damsels, that your task were done. The forenoon's eldest minutes almost run.
Then the glass runs too fast.
I think not so. Hadst thou my cares, thou'dst think it ran too slow.
I have my task, forsooth.
So have not I. Yet with these sands my sorrows run away. I turn them with the glass is run, yet my huge mass of cares is scarce begun. Here's a fault. Little one, what work make you?
True stitch, forsooth.
Then see you work it true.
Pray, madam, teach me to take out this knot of heart's ease.
Heart's ease, I have almost forgot. I could have wrought it well when I was young, but in good sadness I have had none long. What's that?
A branch of rue.
A common weed. Of all herbs else I work that well indeed. How chance your flower is behind the glass?
Indeed, I'll get it up.
Indeed, alas, I cannot chide with her. Let tyrant care at my entreat, will not one sigh forbear.
Why sigh you, madam?
Oh, I grieve to see youth run to catch their own misery. You are like April, or rosebuds in May. You never wither till the wedding day. Even so did I. So pretty souls will you. Youth wears mild heart's ease, sorrow bitter rue.
Be not so sad, good madam. Do but smile. We'll have a song sad sorrow to beguile.
And they sing. Well, it's a boys' company play. That's what they do. Enter Horatio.
Save you, fair ladies. Madam, my business leaves me to you.
Everyone exits apart from the Countess and Horatio.
If in your ancient suit my ears are deafened and my utterance mute.
Your ear be wooed. What should get this coyness? Were I a stranger or some city gull, I would commend thee. But I know the world. Lodging is costly. Maintenance asks change. Thou art divorced and hast no other help. But thy bare comings in. Accept my love. I will allow thee £20 a quarter to buy thee pins.
Leave this unmodest suit, or by mine honour.
Come, these words, of course, my fame, mine honour, and my dear respect, are but thy ignis fati to delude green and unseasoned wits. Prithee be kind. A gilded slip carries as fair a show as pursed gold. Gilt honour may do so.
But put your slip to trial, the slightest gold is soon rubbed off.
Come, thy distinctions fold. Let not thy April beauty like a rose fade in the bud and ripen pleasures lose. My sword, thy honour, my estate, thy estate, my purse, shall man and strengthen.
I detest that course.
Your husband hath a sweetheart.
For his ill, shall I turn traitor and mine own fame kill?
'Tis dead already. Every idle tongue stabs it to death.
I have the greater wrong.
Thou wrongst thyself and spurnest thy proper good. Am I not youthful? See, my wanton blood danceth within my veins, and blushing courts thy generous beauty to more amorous sports. You shall not choose.
Hands off!
I love thee, dear.
I hate thee deadly.
Dost thou?
Shall I swear?
No, I'll believe thee, phoenix of thy sex. I glory in thy virtues and reveal what by my oath I promised to conceal. Your jealous husband urged me to this trial, pawning his oath upon your strict denial. For bastard jealousy should be exiled, with ancient love entirely reconciled. I touched your heart, and now I find it true. I'll give you notice, I'll empoison you.
Thou speakest all comfort.
I was made of hope, and a rich performance waits upon my words.
Father of my fair fortunes, whose rich love begets this reuniting covenant, when comes this long-expected sealing day?
Tomorrow, the hour 8.
Certain?
That's life.
Then follow me to feast. Thy muse, Horatio, is the welcomest guest.
Exit Countess.
Swell hard, hold boom, yield not to relent. 'Tis her beauty, colourable trash, her virtues, vengeance hypocritical. I love her. Fury, poison, Hydra's gall. Impatience man me. Damnation, usher my practice. Poison, play thy part, and do my latest greetings to her heart. We must all down, yet here the difference lies. Many for sins, she for her virtue dies.
And exit. I'd forgotten all about the poison plot at the very end of the previous scene, which we shouldn't have done. At the very end of the previous scene, Lurdo was talking about plotting with Horatio to poison the Countess. And so we get this mini scene which closes Act 3. So here, now that Horatio has just spoken here, there will be a brief interval to trim the curtains in the playhouse. So it completes the thought of the action started in the previous scene. We get this scene with the Countess setting up that. We get a bit of music, as I said earlier. We hadn't had that many songs from this boys' company listed in the script, but presumably because they explicitly call for it, it's actually noted in the actual text here. And then Horatio has another go at wooing the Countess, and once again, not very successful, and reveals the plot. And she seems to be okay with it. Well, that's how I saw it. It's sort of like, I mean, on a surface level, that seemed to be what was going on. Yeah, let's get it done. Lynn.
Kind of, but he tells her, "Oh, I was just testing you. Your husband wanted me to test you, and you've passed, and he wants to get back together with you," which is a lie, right? That he...
Yeah, it's all this sort of inny-outy plottiness going on here that is but setting up a date for presumably when it's supposed to be happening and a time and things. So it's a tricksy little scene, that. Because initially when the scene started with the Countess and Horatio, I was sort of going, we've been here before. Where is this going? But then I'd forgotten the poison plot. So that was, I was sort of going, oh, are we going to have the poisoning now? No, we're going to have something slightly different. Sarah?
I understand what's going on with Horatio here, because I can understand him revealing the plot, but the whole thing of like, oh, your husband was testing you, like, if he wants her for himself, I'm racking my brains to try and think like what little nefarious scheme he's up to that would feed into so that he would end up with her. But like, surely this is not going to help his cause in any way.
It seems, Alan.
Yeah, I think we've got yet another iteration of the not over bright toffs behaving badly, which we've seen in so many plays that we've done over the last umpty through years.
It's it, because I touched your heart, now I find it true. I'll give you notice, I'll empoison you. And it's like, it's a really weird bit of action. Lynn?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's about, or whether that's, to her ears, empoison is somehow metaphorical, and she doesn't get it, and it's sort of it's a dramatic irony moment. The audience knows he's being literal. It's the only thing I can think. And to Sarah's question, I don't think he's trying to get with her anymore. He's given up because she won't relent, and so he's going to poison her in revenge. In his little speech at the end, he says, "Swell heart, hold boom, yield not to relent." So, and yet her beauty, colorable trash. So, oh, but she's so beautiful. No. Oh, but she's so virtuous. I don't care about that. I'm going to get my revenge on her by poisoning her. I've given up on actually having her. I think that's what that means at the end. So I'm with Lurdo. She deserves to die. And I guess the whole, oh, I was just testing you, is a way of manipulating her into a position where they can poison her. Oh, we're going to have a supper where we're all going to get together and celebrate your reconciliation. And that's where he's going to poison her. That's the only thing I can think.
Yeah, because we haven't had properly noted asides in this text, so there might be asides in there which would explain the sort of bluntness of some of his dialogue, or he's saying it in a way that doesn't land. It's slightly tricksy.
Yeah.
We started in an awkward place, I feel, for the beginning of a session. It's just, we've landed on one of those scenes where we're going, oh, really, really should have been in the mid-flow to really get the full impact of all of that. Anyway, let us put that, we've got our eye on the game now, I hope. We'll dive into Act 4 and see what that gives us, and we'll give that a little bit of a run-in and see where we go. So, Act 4, Scene 1. Enter Polymetes, Julio, Horatio, and Emilia.
Sorry, how do you pronounce the name? Julio or Julio?
Sometimes we say Julio. Whatever you think sounds good. Okay. I don't gatekeep on names because I'm terrible at them.
Okay. Tristella.
My lord.
Good wine needs no bush nor a good face painting. Thou art favour of thyself, and what thou dost is not under a colour.
I know no other painting but one, and her name is Modesty, and she sometimes throws a blush in my face to make my pale cheeks red, but else you shall never take me for an alderman's post.
Why an alderman's post?
Mark, but where great posts are newly painted, you shall see such egress and regress in and out, and where you see a face newly ochred, 'tis a sign there's great traffic and much stirring to and fro.
Come, sit. Nay, nearer yet.
Then I shall sit upon your skirts.
Alone, Horatio, what shalt have to supper? I am now in the spending vein.
Then God for me, what make I so near?
Good action, you shall not remove. I learned that phrase of mine uncle. Boy, know what Adam hath bespoken for our palates. Were there a banquet to be had, more rare and dear than that victuallous made, it should be served in. But Horatio, what shall we eat that's costly and that's rare?
The roasted phoenix were excellent. Good for that lady.
And why for that, lady?
Far-fetched and dear bought. It's good for you, know who.
For ladies?
Aye, for ladies.
Then the most cheap stuff and next to hand is good for you-know-who.
For knaves.
Aye, for knaves.
Enter the page and Adam.
Adam, what have you ready?
Sir, you may have a calf's head.
Here's a gentleman hath one in his hat already. No more calves, said I pray thee.
Hast any pheasants or partridges?
No, but if your lordship will have a dish of woodcocks.
No, for God's sake, they are the stalest meat with me of any, for I never sit to meat with these gallants, and there's woodcocks clean through the table.
Then, unless you will have a dotterel or a gull.
A gull? Why, which of these gent would thou serve? Do you not hear how Adam flouts you?
I mean a seagull, baked.
Aye, in any case, let's have that. I have fed my wit on many a land gull. Once let me banquet myself of a seagull. Some sea captain I lay my life, that has a desire to stop with me. But such as thou hast, I prithee be brief.
Lay the table in the withdrawing room.
I will, sir. Your honour can have no larks, I'll assure you.
And why?
2 citizen sons and a poet brought up all in the town, flung away the bodies only to have a pie made of the brains.
Enter Duke Ferneze disguised.
A sign either they lacked brains, or else they did it because they would bear a brain.
It was told me that the young Lord Polymetes was entered here.
He that so told thee, fellow, told thee true.
I cry your lordship mercy. Let this letter supply the unwilling office of my tongue, and be the sad reporter of my news.
What ominous news can Polymetes daunt? Have we not Hiron here?
Ovid, not all thy metamorphosis can show such transformation. Oh my God, it is not possible. Is this my son? Has mistook himself, my life has. For the 7 liberal sciences of reeds, the 7 black deadly sins must you needs. Son, turn over these linen leaves, having such store of paper. This is miraculous.
News, my heart will make you joke, and souls dance in your bosoms. Now which joyful tongue amongst you all cries first, God save the Duke, God save Duke Polymetes.
This news is not so happy.
Tush, look here.
My lord, I'm sorry for your heaviness.
Thou shouldst have said so to a porter that's heavy loaden. But come, sit in council. Let's devise how to spend all this countless mass of wealth my father hath bequeathed me at his death. Quite from the popular vulgar garb, we will be odd in all things and retain no common humour in our large expense.
An honourable mind, and were your father alive to note these hopeful parts in you, how would it move him and surprise his heart? But now, my lord, my message being done, I must return. I'm glad I have found you, son.
For thy good news, take that along with thee.
Exit Duke Ferneze.
Look here, Tris, would not this make notable statesmen? Methinks state steals upon me.
I have known some steal state.
Then they came never truly by it as I do. But, pergita porro, methinks I could make an indifferent careless duke.
I could make a notable courtier. Methinks I am begging already.
Oh, mine uncle would make an excellent court spaniel. He would send out offices and concealed lands 100 miles off. And were my cashier but 20 years, I durst change livings with.
And what employment for Horatio?
Oh, he would make a good grumbling surly politician. Thou shalt be my politician.
I shall never be loved.
Oh, not loved. Your reason?
I hate the base and rascal multitude. I cannot nod and ride bareheaded through the streets, nor wreath my body like a cable hat band to every peddler and mechanic townsman. I hate the poor, am envious of the rich, love none.
Yes, women.
Faith, after a thought, I love a good smooth face.
Then you love mine.
And 40 more.
I muse you do not marry.
I would tonight, upon condition that I might bury her tomorrow. Boy,
Fill him some wine.
I cannot drink, good boy.
It is not poisoned.
I cannot tell. The Countess drunk and died.
Come, come.
Farewell.
And exit Horatio.
Still in the bogs of melancholy. Paxont. 'Tis tailor than tobacco, not so much, but the singing cobbler is grown melancholy and corrects shoes in humour. Piont. Come sit. We must talk about many matters. Rivo, I'll be singular. My royal expense shall run such a circular course that the rascal spawn of imitators shall split their wooden brains and sink their wealth in the gulf of prodigality. Yet, like a bad archer's shaft, shall fall 60 short of their aim. My expense shall be royal and peculiar.
I'll fashion you a course.
Divinely. Come.
Divinely indeed. Serve God, live honestly, relish not atheism.
That's clean out of the fashion indeed.
Then good.
Because out of the fashion, set down that, Adam.
'Tis done, Julio. I have it, my lord. I have it, i'faith.
Nay, quickly, how?
We'll keep no pages.
Excellent. That's clean out of the fashion. For pages, that's good. That stands. Down with it, Adam.
'Tis done, sir.
We'll use no great horses.
How shall we write then?
On mules and she-asses.
Down with that, Adam.
But for my train, for a page with pages.
Maintain 100 gallants at your heels. Live in the country, entertain again into the court long banished hospitality, who since the first great hose with codpieces grew out of fashion, ne'er durst show his head.
Another, set it down. I'll spend up to £40 a day. I'll see which of my chevril-brained imitators dares follow my fashion. This blood, I cannot drink tobacco these 2 days, but the third, the churchwardens and sidesmen are at it in the alehouse in sermon time. I cannot wear a suit half a day, but the tailor's journeyman creeps into it. I cannot keep a block private, but every citizen's son thrust his head into it. I cannot keep a wench, but every grand juror's son in the country imitates me. I care not if I make it petty treason for any man to kiss under £10 a kiss.
Oh, my lord, 'twill never pass in the lower house. They will not lose their liberty of kissing.
Then keep a leash of wenches.
As common as cracking of nuts, not a serving man, but doth as much.
'Fore God, I have it, peculiar, I have it.
What is Julio?
Your honor shall keep no wenches at all.
No wenches? What shall become of me then?
I must be round with you, Tris. You must pack. Many women, they say, are common, and I'll entertain nothing that favours of community. I will not divulge.
Nay, but hark you, my lord, though you maintain me, you do not lie with me, and I think that's the newer fashion.
For God, the newest of all, for there's not a gallant maintains his wench, but who will lie with her. Down with that, Adam.
'Tis done.
Enter Joculo the page.
My lord, the duke, your father, with a great train is coming.
From heaven or hell?
That's more than I know. But by the faith of a page and the word of a gent, which you will, he is armed and in great state entered the city.
Zounds, where's the slave that brought the false report of his death?
Not sure it is my father.
Or else your mother did you the more wrong. Shift yourselves, for he is come.
My father alive and come home? Alter me, what shift? Come home and find the court turned ale house, dicing house, dancing school. I'm undone, horse and foot.
Soma rosa solis or aqua mirabilis ho, for our general cowards in a swoon.
I know you're a hot shot in a feather bed, Tris, but that will not serve turn now. Therefore, fall off. The enemy's too strong. Deed, Tris. Every lamb to his fold, and coney to her burrow, and old foxes abroad. No, wilt not be? Why then, God immerse his brain. Kedan tarmatogai, my gown and books, boy. Some sudden device to keep him back half an hour, and win my good opinion forever.
And I do not. Let me die of the bastinado.
And they exit. Okay, so at the end of a reasonably longish scene, yes, Joculo enters with plot. The Duke's back, and everyone's going, oh, shit, the house is a mess. Oh, no, the party's gone on too long. Oh, can we cover up everything? Quick, put everything underneath the carpet. It'll be fine. And etc. There's a lot going on in this scene. There's so many little things. I'm going to start with something that's utterly unimportant but quite interesting. Just the bit when Emilia says, "Into the court long banished hospitality, who since the first great hose with codpieces grew out of fashion, ne'er durst show his head." I mean, it's true by this point. You know, in olden days, hospitality was a much more of a thing. You know, when codpieces were still a thing in the old Elizabethan days of yore, or pre-Elizabethan days of yore, and it has been something that has been ebbing out of social of society by the time we're into the very early Jacobean here. That really is a thing that is no longer so true, and so that's a nice little historical note I just thought I'd throw in there. But we have some interesting questions, and I think a lot of these questions are answered by: are there more asides in this scene than we think? Is a Horatio asiding to the audience, "I've just killed the Countess," rather than telling the room, because he just sort of say in passing, "The Countess drunk and died," and nobody else in the room has a clue what he's talking about if he's talking to them. But if he's come in and he's really depressed and really off, then that might be a really good reason why, that he comes in and she's just killed someone, or at least he thinks he's just killed someone. I don't know if that is the case. It may be that there's something random else going on. But they're all, of course, talking about the Duke being dead, who, of course, isn't dead because he popped into the scene earlier. So we know he's not dead because he turned to the audience and went, my son has suddenly become less annoying. He's now 30% more interesting than when I left, because of course his son is now terrified that his father's going to think bad things of him. So it's really interesting, actually, various ideas that are going on. I've talked about things for far too long. Who wants to eat a seagull? Sarah.
Yum, yum. We were talking in the last session about Emilia's motivation for this whole elaborate disguise that she's got going on with her brother, and the fact that although she does say at the beginning, like, "Oh, I'm going to do this," we don't really know like why she's doing it and what her end game is. And given that, I found it quite frustrating that we didn't get any reaction from her when the news came that their father had died. I mean, I know she's been living with her aunt since she was a baby, so she's got no emotional attachment to him. But nevertheless, his death really makes a massive difference to her status, her position, and this game that she's playing with her brother. Which is it's a little bit of a perilous game, really. I mean, she's a smart cookie, so she clearly thinks that she's on top of things, and she does appear to be. But like, I was amazed that we didn't get any reaction from her really with that at all. We didn't get an aside to the audience. We didn't get her feelings about it, and she just didn't react at all. She didn't do anything. She didn't change her mind. She didn't, and then I mean, okay, and then sort of I guess 5 minutes later it's revealed that the Duke isn't dead, so then fine. But I was just really, I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated with her, because she's clearly very intelligent, but like, she doesn't have any interiority at all.
Lynn.
Yeah, similar reaction. Sarah mentioned some of what she just articulated in the chat, and I was like, yeah, exactly. That, I mean, I think we're kind of set up to sort of like Emilia, or maybe that's just me personally. Because she does seem smart and does seem to kind of know her way around a little bit. And yeah, the fact that she has no reaction, no aside, anything to her father's death was troubling, because I mean, even though yes, she's never actually known him because she was raised in a different household, he doesn't even know what she looks like and vice versa, but it is a convention of early modern drama that family attachments are somehow inherent, so that her love for him would be instinctive, and so she would feel his loss even though she didn't know him personally. That's a dramatic convention. So it's her duty as a daughter to be sad and to mourn, and she doesn't react at all, and she continues her sort of joking banter with her brother, as if nothing had ever happened. So that's really, it's really, her reaction is really troubling, and doesn't seem to fit with what I want to think about that character. So
Francis.
Yeah, that seems to be the problem with Emilia. She just kind of goes with the flow. She's just commenting and making smart remarks, or and she doesn't seem to have an end game. We don't know.
yeah,
We don't know what she wants to achieve.
yeah,
She never had a scene that you normally, a sort of speech in, as you normally do in early modern drama, where she sort of kind of explains to almost the audience what she's going to do and why she's doing it.
Alan and Eric. Welcome, Eric, to the room.
I think throughout this play so far, the only character I've detected any sort of motivation in is Horatio, who's basically, oh, it's a female, I'm going to have a crack. None of the rest have got any form of motivation at all that's come out to me in the plot so far.
I mean, I'm going to throw in a bit of defense for Emilia. It's true she doesn't say anything, but she largely stops talking for quite a long time after the news of her father being dead. In fact, her first line is quite catty after that point. I've known some steel state, when the son is going, oh, I'm the Duke now, who's are. So and then she largely keeps her counsel for a little while, and then sort of re-enters the scene. So it's and then talks about hospitality and other things as well. So I'm going to say that doesn't mean that there isn't an impact on her. It's just she's not necessarily talking about it. That isn't. I'm not saying that the play couldn't have thrown some more stuff in there. I do agree on that point, but it's not like it's at the beginning of the scene when we're talking about birds in so many different bird ways, some of which I'm sure is funny, with some actions or something, I don't know. An awful lot of discussion of various types of birds. Eric, you were to say some things.
I'm pretty sure we've had discussions about, like random birds in other places. Anyway, yeah, I kind of missed like a few scenes, obviously, since last time we were here. But I think like sort of, I seem to remember Sarah's headcanon for Emilia was that she is testing people, so like testing their reactions and stuff. So like she was testing her brother to see if he was going to get the sort of fall for the bait. I also seem to remember that she wrote in the chat like last time that she kind of was hoping that Emilia becomes the proper heir to the dukedom. Obviously that might not happen, I don't know, based on how it's going. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that we're all focused on Emilia when there are so many other characters as well. I mean, I know that she's one of the female characters, like the lead female character, I guess. But like, there's also like, I don't know who else turned up in the previous two scenes I've missed, or three scenes.
You've only missed 1.5.
Okay.
Hasn't been that much action. I mean, I think there is an interesting focus here on Polymetes. I mean, this is the guy who's this sort of very stolid, boring person at the very beginning of the play, and he's literally going, "Dad's dead. Let's have a party." And he's, and which he then suddenly has to cover up. I wonder if there's a music cue in here as well. That there's a song and dance routine, lots of carousing, and then Joculo turns up and goes, "Oh, he's not dead, you know." And also a question, because it says enter Joculo the page, and I'm immediately starting to go, okay, we have various people just listed the page, and I'm sometimes wondering if there was some confusion as to which page is which. I don't think there are. I think the pages are actually identified reasonably well, but just a little thought to throw in there. He's definitely not the earlier page, because that was Horatio's page, but that's confusing. Anyway, Eric, and then we will move on because we need.
Well, also in the first half of this video, I don't know. Play that we read, we had lots of like tricks on like Lurdo and like the older men. So now I guess if they played like pranks on the younger men and Emilia, it would kind of, it's like I don't know, maybe a generational thing, sort of reverse generational plot thing. I don't know.
Yes, I mean, Duke Ferneze has watched the response to his own death. He hasn't stayed for the party, but he has seen his son basically go, huzzah! So there's going to be some sort of payoff there, and I wonder actually whether he could just be there's some additional business that could be got out of that as he's watching and uncovering that. Anyway, we will gather more data as we go forward. Is the Countess actually poisoned yet? Let us find out. I don't know if the next scene will tell us that. I'm going to keep Sarah as Ferneze and swap. Eric will be Lurdo later on, and that hopefully will mean we continue forward in a happy fashion. Act 4, Scene 2. Enter Duke Ferneze, Angelo, and other nobles and attendants.
Lords, make a stand. I wonder that our son glads not our wished arrival with his presence.
No doubt, my lord, his honourable ear is not acquainted with your southern landing.
We take it so. And whilst ourself in person inquire the cause, attend us in the hall. Little thinks he his father is so near. But unexpected, I'll go startle him and put his wit unto the present trial.
Enter Joculo.
Page, where's the prince?
My most honoured lord, in private conference with an English post.
An English post?
An English post, my lord. The effect of his letters I know not, but I heard him begin a most strange discourse.
Of what, I prithee?
Please your honour, take a turn or two. I shall relate. Quickly, my lord. He reports there fell such an inundation of waters in the month of July, about a third of dog days, that the oars and scullers that used to work the Thames rowed over houses and landed their fares in the middle of Isle of Paul's.
Is it possible?
Very easily possible. Foot quickly, and more. The fishermen that read between Dover and Calais took red spurlin and she mackerel in the midst of the exchange, which made mutton so cheap and stale that it is thought better half of the townsmen were run home mad about it.
It cannot be.
Not be? Why, look you, sir.
Nay.
But hear the conclusion. Just on St. Luke's Day, coming shall be a 12-month, Westminster and Winchester, drinking a quart of wine together on Salisbury Plain, fell into hard words and strange terms. There was thou knave and I knave, and such foul words as if two young barristers had been breathing their wits for a wager. S'foot make an end. Now it was thought Westminster stood most upon his terms, yet in the end Winchester got one of his best terms from him, spite on his teeth, which so vexed Westminster that it grew to a deadly feud, which was so hotly pursued that taking up of the matter cost many broken heads.
How?
So, sir, s'foot not done yet. And had not Charing Cross, a tall bow-legged gent, taken up the matter, 'tis thought Westminster stones would have been too hot for some of them. And in the parting, the fray, Charing Cross got such a box of the ear that he will carry it to his death's day. Some say I got a wry neck by parting the fray. Mary Winchester says flatly, I got a crick in his neck with looking westward for termers.
Thou shouldst have told me.
Of the English post? Why, look you, my lord, the post, coming in post haste to show you his duty to the prince, stumbled at a post. that lay in his way and broke his sinister shank. And so I break off my discourse and bid your honour welcome home.
Exit Joculo. I'm going to stop there because I'm sorry. It's literally Joculo turns up to do some shaggy dog story stand-up routine and then does a terrible joke at the end, saying a post tripped over a post. That's. Has he delivered any news at all? He hasn't, has he? It's literally this is clearly some bit of material they wanted the clown to try out, and I've no idea what you just said.
Neither do I.
I'm really not, and it does sound awfully familiar. We're saying in the chat we've heard this in something else, haven't we? It's in one of the Ho plays, or it's in something, and I can't remember what the hell it's from.
I'm sure it was even more elaborate. I vaguely remember a description about the city getting flooded and fish doing exchanges like sturgeon trading with pike or whatever in the. I am sure we've had this before. I wonder if it was like a thing, like a stock kind of shaggy dog story of the time.
Yeah, Rachel, then Francis, then Eric.
So Joculo has these little asides, and I was getting the sense as I was reading that he's trying to cover for something that's happening. He's trying to fill time, and I'm not sure what he's covering for.
Yeah, Francis, and then Eric, then Olga, then Alan.
Well, I was saying in Final Thoughts last time that we hadn't had a scene, a comic interlude, which has no bearing on the plot, and which is obviously the resident comics bit of business. And here we are.
Yeah, but who's he covering for? Because the next person's on is someone who was already on in the previous scene, so that's sort of not needed. And then there's no one new. There's not a new character who has a reasonable reason for getting changed, unless they've got a different. Unless Polymetes has a very complex costume shift.
But he's commenting on his speed of storytelling and whether he should, whether he should speed up or slow down, or it's a bit strange.
Yeah,
I think it's covering for Polymetes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I was just pointing. It's covering for me.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, I think it's very much well, he can't come. He'd love to come, but he can't come because he broke his leg or something. And because he does go stumbled at a post and broke his sinister shank, and it's like, okay, bye.
Yeah, I mean it literally, that's the joke that he set up at the beginning. Alan.
Yeah, I mean I think it is simply, oh God, Daddy's come home. We need to clean up this party and tidy up the mess where people have puked behind the sofa or whatever.
Oh, okay. So it's not they're changing if this isn't actually a new scene. I see what people are getting at now. Okay, yeah. So if this is basically the Duke has now turned up at the front door, and they're cleaning all the carpets. Okay, I think that was So Olga, was that what you were saying?
Yes,
earlier?
yeah. That's what I meant. Yes.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, I am. No, I think that makes sense. So hoovering backstage, clutter, clanging, noise. People falling over. Oh God, no. Yeah. Lynn.
And maybe a costume change. He's changing from his gay courtier's get up in which he flirts with his own sister into his dark somber scholar's outfit, because when he first came on, he's got a book. Oh, I'm a scholar, I'm very serious, of course. Yeah. So maybe he's changing back into that persona to impress his father with how austere and scholarly his life is.
Okay, this scene now starts making sense. That means that it doesn't matter what Joculo is saying, because it's what's physically happening behind him that matters. Yeah. And therefore, that makes it funnier. That's fine. Good. Okay. Phew. Eric, and then we'll move on, because I was only pausing briefly to figure out why we were there.
I was wondering about all the bits and brackets and because they sound like asides, but obviously there was no one to aside to. But then obviously if Joculo is talking to the people who are backstage or rearranging stuff, you can imagine him in front of a curtain going, there's nothing to see here, it's fine. Oh, are you done yet? Right.
Right. Yes, because Joculo literally said as he left the previous scene, if I don't keep him back half an hour, let me die of the bastinado. So this is his 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Okay. This is his not so tight 30. Okay, let's move on because we've paused mid-scene just to unpack that. Let us go into the scene as everyone's presumably tidied up reasonably backstage. Exit Joculo. Ferneze is left.
What a strange tale is here of floods and hills, of Charing Cross terms, and I know not what. And when I look for the conclusion, a breaks of all and leaves me in a cloud.
Ah, yes, enter Julio.
There's some trick in it. Oh, honoured Julio,
Health to my sovereign.
how fares our son? Have your inducements drawn him from his humour?
Faith, my lord, I have done a child's part and almost spent a child's part to draw him to society, but 'tis labour lost.
What is his business with the English post?
The English post, my lord. Your grace is merry.
Well, his boy informed me of a held conference about serious matters with an English post.
Alas, my lord, the boy is lunatic.
How? Lunatic? And afore God, methought told a mad discourse. No. And afore God, methought told a mad discourse. But the occasion?
I tell you, my lord, coming abruptly, as your honor or any else may do, to the prince's chamber about some ordinary service, I found him in his study, in a company of bottle-nosed devils, dancing the Irish hay about him, which on a sudden so startled the poor boy as a clean lost his wits, and ever since talks thus idle, as your excellence has heard him.
But tell me, doth my son converse with devils?
As familiarly as you and I. They are his only company keepers. Then, when he hath been dulled at his study, I have known a devil and he play at tic-tacs for Phillips by the whole day together.
'Tis passing strange. But may we without danger go near his study?
At your honor's pleasure.
Discovers Polymetes in his study.
See where he sits, be patient, and observe.
Prevented still, now by Medusa's snakes and black Erinis ever burning lamp, if all the skills of pyromantic rules, deep aeromancy of the precious soul, and of geomantic spells and characters, graven in the surface of our Mother Earth, can work this strange achievement.
His brain sweats in pursuit of learning.
Oh, attend.
The first house is vulgarized the horoscope or angle of the Orient, and his accident betokeneth beginning of life, merchandise, marriage, and...
Let's break him off.
So please, your excellence.
The second and third house. The third house is cadent from the angle of the Orient and descendant to the angle septentrional, signifying fathers, sisters, and daughters absent and lost, daughters and fathers lost. Here then I find my demand, the maid lost, my sister. Thus then I proportion my figure, there I place my witnesses, and here my judge, and thus proceed to the invocation.
Renowned Prince, Prince Polymetes, zoons, Prince!
Discourteous Julio, give my study leave.
Heart not a jot, the Duke, your father!
I'll make my father joyful by my toil. Hath not thy folly interrupted me? My hopes ere this had met their period.
Your princely father!
Oh, torment me not with his remembrance.
Blood, he's safe returned.
I would a were. Then should not Genoa's crown for want of strong supportance be pressed down. It's not enough that like a harmless prince, spending my hours in contemplation, I let you hold the reins of government unfit for me. My father hath a deep and searching judgment that can brush and sweep such idle-brained and antique parasites forth of his presence. Pray your absence.
Beg your pardon, I was muted. I can but smile to see how Prometheus-like they turn the shape of their discourse and project, thinking to lead me in an idle maze after their folly. Well, I'll temporize and note the issue. Come, my lords, let's in. His humour's grounded, and like a subtle fire, the more suppressed it mounts, so much the higher.
Eggs, you and everyone apart from Julio and Polymetes.
I saw. This jest came smoothly off and was not soiled in the working.
That boy is worth his weight in pearl. Didst mark what a tale of cocklet and a ball you told my father whilst I made thee and the rest away by a bill of conveyance at his back?
And I did simple knight service in persuading the duke the boy was lunatic.
'Twas admirable. Doth not this just deserve to be chronicled?
No, by my troth, yet I must needs say some as bad have been. For howsoever our practice pass current with your father for the present, our villainies must needs break forth. They are so notorious and public.
How matter latter? Have we not brains? Brains, and they be well minced, are sauce for any meat. Let mine uncle turn Turk and break forth. Let the whole town turn cuckold and blow their homes in our disgrace. I have brains. Let the sun and 7 stars be opposed. I have brains for that too. My present wit shall give 'em all the lie in their throats, and maintain it at pocket dagger and pistol when I have done.
Enter Horatio's page.
Partner boy, what solemn funeral hath hung that sable livery on thy back?
Her death, my lord, that hath cut out the like for both your honours. The Countess is deceased.
Then will my uncle be a heavy mourner. But how? The manner of her death?
I'll tell your honour that hereafter, and give you the ground of an admirable jest.
And we play not true moles and work it out of the ground. Let me die of the green sickness.
The ground then comes?
No, he tell you that in private. The life of a jest thrives in the first revealing. It concerns the manner of your aunt's death, and a law trick of your uncle.
Come to the solemn rites and weep at least. Those benended will receive your jest.
And they exit, and that's the end of the scene, not yet the end of the act. We have, having done the clean-up, Polymetes is now pretending to be this great sorcerer who is trying to use magical powers to find his sister, enabling him to spoof the various magical plays that we've had in the past in a light way, a bit of Faustus, a bit of other plays as well, but that's a nice little bit of business he gets to do. Polymetes as a part is starting to really appeal to me as an actor, it has to be said, because he works through quite a lot of different changes. I mean, there's no consistency to this guy at all, but it gives you something to do, if nothing else. Lynn.
Yeah, Proteus-like. It's the old spelling is retained in our text, but I think that's Proteus, the god of the shape changer god that Ferneze compares him to. And yeah, he is Protean. He's just like, I'm a scholar, I'm very serious. Oh, I'm kind of sad. Oh, by the way, my sister's dead. Oh, cute girl. Yeah, like, my father's dead. Woohoo, I get to be yeah, it would be interesting to try for an actor to try to create that character with scenes that didn't show.
Yes, there's a challenge for you. Hide the joins. Eric.
We've had that kind of character in, I think it was The Wise Woman of Hoxton, where he was like lying to everyone, like double timing two women with the same name.
I think he was always established as a lying cad from the beginning, whereas this seems to be he genuinely is changing.
Which is interesting.
Well, you know what it's like. The quiet person who discovers amateur dramatics, they're never quite the same again after, are they? So I will play all the parts. But yes, and then yes, but of course his father is not knows it's all a jest, but there's that element of the father's quite pleased that his son's so elaborately over the top and able to do these things. He's like, he's got depths, hidden shallows to this boy. Isn't that lovely? Sarah.
So Olga's theory was confirmed. Well spotted. Like that was definitely what he was doing. But like, I am wondering why. Like, did I miss something? Do we have any idea quite what this plot is for as yet, or is it just not for anything?
Well, it depends what you mean. What it's for. In terms
Well, I
of
mean, yeah, all this kind of summoning of whatever.
Well, he did the lie that he's selling here is that he's using magical forces to find his sister, and that makes him look more virtuous before his father, having trashed the place. And I suppose that's a logical thing. If you're doing apothecary type things, the place should look a bit trashed because that's what
Right.
that's what that kind of that's might be the logic to it. But it's a grand display for his father that he's not a
Okay.
waster.
Mm.
I mean, why his father's testing him this way is never established either. It's like people just keep testing people, and it's like he doesn't have a
Yeah.
good reason to test anyone. He left for a perfectly legitimate reason. He came back, and he didn't even announce whether he succeeded in finding. There's no news about the sister. He's not even mentioned. I don't think. Did he mention her earlier? Did I miss that?
No, I don't think so.
So he's just talking about his son. So there's something quite weird about that. That he's not actually brought up the primary reason he left at any point. And he's just doing this. But this play doesn't seem that interested in that. It's just going, plot! Why? Because plot! That's what this play does. And I'm sort of going with it, I don't care. Okay, let's finish the act, because the acts are the important units of action. Act 4, Scene 3. I think this may answer the question we asked earlier about whether Horatio was talking about something he had done or was about to do. I think he had done it because solemn music plays to a funeral song, The Hearse, borne over the stage. Duke, Lurdo, Polymetes, Angelo, Julio, Horatio, and mourners. There might be some clashes here, I don't know. They all exit, so that's straightforward, apart from Horatio. So big funeral, and Horatio's left on stage.
What is a man? Heart of the devil, mere fools. His rich invention, Machiavellian plots, idle, elusive, antic fantasies, Apelles grapes. I had as full a brain, fertile invention, and as forward hopes as man could father or his wit bring forth. Yet, in a minute, in a bubble's age, the venomed fury of a bitter spleen confounded all. Forgetful that I was, woman are moulded out of bashfulness, and must be drawn to kindness by degrees. All this I knew.
And enter Count Lurdo.
Neither the law nor I know any reason why Horatio, but mum, law tricks as closely as I can, my ear shall drink his meditation.
Had she survived time?
Might have found us out. Good firm in law. I am a fool to doubt his constant secrecy.
But now she's dead.
The deepest wit could not have bettered our smooth conveyance, but upright and straight, unknown, unseen, our work upon conceit.
Exit Lurdo.
Had she been living, golden promises, the smooth attorneys to a lover's tongue, might have in time solicited my suit. Gifts might have pleaded, mournful elegies told her my passions. Had she been composed of steel or flint, nay, made of women's hearts, the most obdurate metal, time and art. But she is dead. Oh, hell! And in her tomb, my hopes are buried.
Enter Count Lurdo again.
My conceited brain hath an odd crotchet called me back again.
To all these bad misfortunes, should the Count use any tricks?
Talks of tricks of count and tricks, but tricks encounter twins.
Yet I regard not.
I am right and straight.
Say I complain.
Suppose he tell the Duke he gave the poison.
He contrived her death. Cannot wrong me.
Why, I fear him not. He doth but father what my brain begot.
And exit.
This comfort yet, which many want, I have, to follow my fair fortunes to the grave.
And exit. And that, in theory, is the end of Act 4. Doesn't feel like the end of Act 4, to be honest. Feels like maybe more the beginning of the next act. I will check that. But Horatio's sad. He's sad. Oh well, poor him. Deeply unsympathetic. And he's still really mean, even when talking about dead people. So, but a moment of a bit of spectacle. And Lurdo comes on, does some overhearing. Shall I do something about this guy? Shall I? No, he seems to be okay. That seems to be. No, I'll disappear again. It's an odd little scene. I'm going to let us unpack that a little later on. I'm going to dive us into Act 5, so we need to get on with some text, because time is moving on. We've talked too much about things. So, Act 5, Scene 1. Enter Horatio's page with a thieves' lanthorn.
Oh, shall I enter? Ha, shall I venter? Shield me, Apollo. The ground is so hollow that every step I tread upon it, methink it sings a dead man's sonnet. Fate, oh fates, be honest drabs. Fear gives me 10,000 stabs. I dare not further. 'Tis wilful murther, thus late to tread the cloister's vaults. For, though I'm small, I have a great man's faults. Then, gentle fates, take some remorse. I watch an honest, kind, quick course. Grant that no hobgoblins fright me, no hungry devils rise up and bite me, no urchins, elves, or drunkards' ghosts shove me against walls or posts. I grant I may no black thing touch, though many men love to meet such. But here's the tomb, my hopes sufficing. I watch a dainty duck's uprising. Her cheeks now are chilly, as is the pale lily, but when her eye uncloses, they'll look like two fair roses.
Enter Horatio with a light.
A light? My master, awesome sprite. Yet what need devils have candlelight? 'Tis he, all hid, I'll not be seen, for once this tomb shall be my screen.
He hides himself.
I cannot rest. My guilt keeps ope mine eyes. My passion rips my bosom, and my blood is turned to poisoned water, and so swells that my vexed soul endures 1,000 hells. If I chance slumber, then I dream of serpents, toads altogether, and such venomous evils as hail me from my sleep like forked devils. Midnight, thou Ethiop, empress of black souls, thou general bore to the whole world, salute thee, wishing thy poison dropped upon my brain, for my so rude, so rash, so heedless murder, in the ambition and the height of lust, not giving my blood liberty to cool, to poison such a beauty. O black fate! Thus many killed too soon, repent too late. Soft stay. This same's the chilly monument that hugs her body in his marble arms, thou gentle soul of my deceased love. O wert but possible to enjoy thy voice, thy sweet, harmonious voice, I should be blessed, but e'en to dally with thy syllables. O tomb!
No tomb, but cistern filled with tears.
O heart!
No heart, but sink of grief and fears.
Countess, soul shadow, speak again!
Speak again.
What should I speak? My hate or thy huge wrongs?
Huge wrongs.
Huge wrongs indeed. But charitable soul, what ransom shall I pay thee for thy life?
Thy life.
My life?
Aye, life.
Discourteous air, my blood is frozen with despair.
Despair.
Pardon, forgive me, shall I go?
I go.
But shall your hate pursue me, aye or no?
No.
Adieu, my grief, and I'll go sleep.
Pray God my tongue can my heart's counsel keep.
We can infer Horatio exits here. Now we confer Horatio exits here. Page continues.
Oh, sorry. Ha, are you vanished? Let me see, and maybe fallen asleep against some pillar, for I'll be sworn a talked very idly a bit. Decet evacity erupt. I would fain know that wag that can put me down for a woman's ghost extempore, especially if it were to be performed under a tomb of cloth. But here lay the desperate venter. Had she chanced to have risen and spoke before her cue, as about this time she must rise, or my sleepy drink plays the drowsy companion with her.
Enter Horatio again.
Art, a master, my master again. What cross points are these? I see I must betake me to my late refuge.
It was no ghost, subtle opinion working in man's decayed faculties, cuts out and shapes elusive fantasies, and our weak apprehensions like wax receive the form and presently convey unto our dull imagination. And hereupon we ground 1,000 lies, as that we see devils rattling their chains, ghosts, dead men, variety of spirits, when our own guilty conscience is the hell, and our black thoughts the caverns where they dwell. Yet sure this was her shadow, for I hear her last words found still dancing in mine ear. Then, gentle soul, if thou beest yet unthroned, answer one question, no more.
No more.
May my heart's true repentance satisfy my wilful murder. Your reply?
Aye.
Thanks. 1,000 thanks, and so farewell.
Farewell.
Vain of murder is despair and hell.
Exit Horatio.
Was ever poor little knave put to his last trumps as I am? What shall I do now? My heart goes pit-a-pat in my belly like a pair of washing beetles. Should I return again now, as my hand to a lobster pile will, all the fat were in the fire. But hark, 'tis 1 o'clock, and just about this minute she should play the wagtail and stir.
And awakes the Countess.
What trance was this? Where am I?
Oh, she speaks. Fates be good girls and keep my master away and let his man have a little sport with his mistress.
What place is this? Am I in heaven or no?
No.
What voice is that? Is this place earth?
Earth.
Earth? How came I hither? Do I live again?
Live again.
What voice is that? A woman or some youth?
Youth.
My fears will murder me. My powers are frighted.
Alas, poor stirring ghost, art thou sprited? Art over-sprited?
Boy,
Mistress,
tell me.
all and more anon, the sleepy drink hath played the honest man.
What sleepy drink? How came I here in this tomb?
I'll tell you that in a more private room. Away! I'll tell you a stranger wonder than winter lightning or Christmas thunder. Then to my father's trip and go, nimble prevention outruns woe.
And they exit. Who'd have thought it? So, yeah, Countess not dead. And we have an extended series of echo scenes, which are just we've had so many in so many different plays, and this one does some of them quite well. I think my favourite echo line has got to be when Horatio's going off, and he's talking about what ransom shall I play for thy life, my life. It's just like he's just like the pages go get with the program here. Because he's really quite annoying, and a few problematic lines in there that might need slight adjusting. Again, I just kind of feel that actually this follows on from the previous scene rather than that there's but there might be an interval break. Oh no, they probably need an interval break to set up the Countess on the tomb, don't they? Because there would be some scene changeage there because she is physically there in some fashion. And not dead. Countess is not dead. You could have knocked me over with a feather, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, once we got into that, I realised that this was very much like many echo scenes that we've had in previous plays. The one difference is I don't recall any previous Echo scene where it's been a named character rather than Echo.
Yeah, or there is someone pretending to be Echo. I think we might have had it once before somewhere. I could be wrong, but yes, you're right. It usually is a genuine Echo, whereas this is someone thinking on their feet. And I do like the boy mistress when they, it's just. It's very nice. Page doesn't get a name. We've got to give the both characters who are quite good. We like the Page. It's the same Page from earlier who we really like, who's obviously arranged some stuff in a scene that we don't have in the play. And yeah, I continue to really like this Page. Other thoughts from the room before we move into the final scene? It's a chunky one though. Again, it's doing lots of effect. It's doing effect. It's doing fun games. It's giving us lots of spoofs. Again, so many spoofs. So much stuff that if you've been to the theatre a lot at the time, you would be going, got that one. Eric.
This was a boys' company, right? So it was kind of like, so you can imagine the youngest boy playing the Page, who traditionally I think the youngest boys would have had less to do, I think, as in being the most inexperienced or perhaps still seeing. I don't know, I'm not sure, I'm guessing here. So please prove me wrong. But I like to think that it's at least, if not the youngest, then the littlest in size. So you've got this tiny boy going, yes, it's me. I'm totally the Countess. I totally sound like her up here. And just sort of then breaking out of character and sort of, doing the whole range change would be funny.
Yes, what voice is that, a woman or some youth? And of course the answer is both. In the logic of the staging. Okay, we have, I say one very long scene. We may be talking to ourselves occasionally. I'm going to step in to read Emilia and the Page for this scene. Otherwise, we are all as we were. Let's find out how the play concludes. So Act 5, Scene 2. Enter Ferneze the Duke, Count Lurdo, Angelo, Horatio, and Adam, and other attendants. It gets complicated from here.
No more of mourning, brother. We have laid our timeless sorrows in a quiet grave. When men inter their comfort, let them weep, not when their crying charm is laid to sleep.
Great Duke, mine eyes are not thus great with tears for our grief's funeral, but that her shame and future scandal will outlive her name.
Come, let mirth kill it. Add to your discourse. Is our son grown unto that height of riot your speeches intimate?
Your Highness knows I know the law. If I have wronged the prince, I stand in compass of a premunire. And if he by writ of ad cord dampenum may sue his recovery, I know the law.
Nay, his own letter partly grants as much. But note his subtle reason. Here are rights that of set purpose are laid by himself, and played the part of a wild prodigal, only to put your lover to the test. On which advantage, to engross his wealth, you did endear him to society of careless wantons and light courtesans, made secret vaults and cellars underground.
Non tenet imbocardo, I demur. I do but send out your iterum Simonius or capias ut legatum to attach and bring him viva voce, tongue to tongue, and viet armis of revenge.
Leave that to trial. Here a further writes that by his skill and practice in black art, he hath found out, and by much toil redeemed, my daughter from the Turkish servitude.
Redeemed your daughter? An apparent error which you, by way of melius inquirendum, may soon discuss. I'll ransom home your daughter as sure as I made cellars underground or played his pander.
Howsoe'er it prove, I mean to try the utmost of his wit, to see how quaintly he can bear himself. But who comes here?
Enter Emilia.
Marry, my good lord, this is the green burr that stuck so close to the young prince's sleeve, the shoemaker's cutting knife that fitted his boot to the prodigal's last.
If I be compos mentis, this is she must play your daughter's part. My lord, beware, work close, cocksure. I see the gin, the snare.
Most reverend father.
Father, now it fits, where'er an old fox duke. I have brains, I have wits.
Immodest, impudent, and shameless girl! Is not enough thou hast misled my son and wronged his reputation?
How wronged him, father? I must needs say I have played will with the wisp with my brother, and I have led him up and down the maze of good fellowship till I have made his wit and his wealth both turn sick. But for any other wrong I appeal to himself, my honest uncle Julio, where is and all the rest of his good audience. Therefore, pray, good father.
Out of my sight! Thou art no child of mine.
You are the more beholding to some of your neighbours. Tutma, look on me well. Here's your own nose and thick kissing lip up and down, and my mother were living, she would never buss you more till you confess I were your daughter.
What an audacious and naughty pack is this? Have her before a justice, Adam.
Do with all my heart, good father. Send me to a justice, for a pretty woman with a smooth tongue and an angel's voice can do much with a justice in this golden age. But thus much afore I go. If justice will not provide me a better father, I'll have you, or I'll give the beadle of the ward a fee to cry new father anew, as they do oysters in Calais. Exit, Emilia.
Brother, are you acquainted with this woman?
I must needs say that at my nephew's suit I gave her a month's lodging and her diet. But nuda veritate, in bare truth and bona fide, without circumstance, splendente sole, the bright sun ne'er saw a wench more capable of wit and law, and howsoever she is with beauty graced, I dare engage mine honour, she is chaste.
I give your words good credit. Yet it is rare to find a woman wanton, chaste, and fair. But now unto my son, whose powerful art strives to ungive his sister's servitude.
Polymetes in his study. Presumably enters.
Thanks, Heat, thou hast inspired my hope in a gold circle. Oh, were my father here, this sight would of his age bate 20 year.
What sight, my son?
Lend me your watery eye that swims in passion for my sister's loss, and in this black perspective let it read a pleasing lecture.
I conceive two shapes, a civil merchant and a beauteous maid. Their pace is speedy, and my slower eye cannot keep away with their celerity.
That maid's my sister, whom on magic wing to this fair presence my rich art shall bring. Prepare to meet them, for this minute's age ends with my charm their airy pilgrimage.
Enter Julio like a merchant and Joculo like a lady.
Where are we now? How strangely were we borne upon the pinions of the fleeting air. And where dismounted? And to what great prince, Christian or pagan, longs this mansion?
Are we in any sociable place? Or in the cell of some magician, who by his skill in hellish exorcisms made us his thrall?
And forbear no longer. Welcome, thrice welcome.
Welcome?
Whence?
To whom?
To me,
What?
thy father.
Sorry, I was too busy laughing. And thy friends.
Do not beguile us, O Demetrio, we are betrayed. See the magician that by his cunning and strong working charms brought us unknown.
Into thy father's arms. Welcome, Emilia. With this ivory chain I sphere my hopes, and in thy bosom rain these tears of comfort. Then embrace thy friends. Thy brother's art all further difference ends.
Your city?
Genoa.
And your reverend name?
Ferneze.
Father.
Yes, the very same. I do remember when she went to nurse was what a cursed vixen 'twas, but now she's grown.
Not past all goodness yet, I hope, sir. But if faith, brother, wast thou that brought us from Turkey a cock-horse? And your Genoan hackney be quick-paced, you shall have more of our custom.
Lay by discourse. What gentleman is that comes uninvited to our feast of joy?
Pray welcome him, father. He's a Genoan merchant that with much suit ransomed me from the Turk.
Oh, my hope's redeemer, welcome. But proceed unto the doubtful fortunes of my child. 'Twas told me she was stolen from Monte Sancta.
You help my memory. Thence was she stolen, and for her beauty chosen concubine to the lascivious Turk. But by much suit and mediation of some special friends, I bought her freedom with 1,000 marks.
Which we'll repay with ample interest. Once more, we'll bid you welcome. And to set a smoother gloss upon our merriment, there's a quick wench that only lives by wit, who, understanding I had lost my daughter, borrowed thy habit and usurps thy name. One call her in. Now, daughter, make thee fit to combat and dismount her active wit.
And exit Adam.
A parlous girl, her wit's a mere snap chance. Goes with a firelock. She strikes fire from stones. She knows the Lord too. A mere murthering piece. Fight low, look close. She speaks mere lightning piece.
Enter Adam with Emilia. How now, father? Have you put on your considering cap and bethought you, or shall I proceed and traverse my writ of errors?
Writ of errors, law tricks, words of art, demurs, and quillets.
Not all not worth a pin. Will you bethink you, father?
I have bethought me, and to let thee see the true proportion of thy impudence, behold my daughter, whom thou personest.
How? Your daughter?
Yes, Minx, his daughter.
My niece and I will make it good.
Prithee, i' faith, have ye any more of these tricks? I may be outfaced of myself with a card often, but i' faith, uncle, the best knave of the bunch, nor all of the law in your budget, cannot do it. As for you, Cicely Bum-Trinkets, I'll have a bout with you at the single staccato. Are you a woman?
No,
What then?
a maid.
If his tongue falter, are all our plots bewrayed.
If a true maid, lend a true maid your hand.
Both hand and heart.
The like of me command. Now I conjure you, by the love you bear Diana's silent grove, by Cupid's bow and golden arrow, Venus' dove and chirping sparrow, by all those vows the listening winds hear when maids unclasp their minds, by those sweet oaths men use in bed, besieging of a maidenhead, I do conjure you to soar these lords, to answer truly to my words.
By these and more, by all the scapes of amorous love and Phoebus rapes, by lovers' sweet and secret meetings, hand embracings and lip greetings, I promise you before these lords to answer truly to your words.
Where were you born?
In Genoa,
Your name?
Emilia.
Lie not.
'Twere open shame to lie before so many.
In what art were you instructed?
That's not in my part.
Say music.
Quickly.
I was taught to sing upon the lute and court each amorous string with a soft finger.
Good. How many springs lived you in Monte Sancta?
Zounds, this stings.
How many? Who's Julio? Say
Nick?
9. Say 9.
No, say 9.
Sounds 10.
10 fops.
Nay, quick.
Twixt 9 and 10.
Right answer.
In the nick.
Your age?
What?
Anything.
Come, fire you linger.
I'm just as old.
As what?
My little finger.
You dally.
16.
18.
18 fools.
Nay, and you prompt, we'll hiss you forth the schools.
Come, your reply. Nay, quick, your certain age.
I am just as old as true Emilia's page.
A page?
Disguised?
Wrapped in a woman's smock. I'm in a wood.
And I can spring a cock.
Woodcock of our side.
And you, Bill so fair, make a clear glade, I'll single forth a pair.
Aye, her wit's called.
We shall have change of weather.
Cocks of one hen. Come, prince, let's hold together.
I thought we should find a counterfeit of you.
Then nail me to your lips with a kiss, and make me current payment.
What? Young Orlando? How does Charing Cross? Is Westminster yet friends with Winchester?
Zounds, Julio, now.
Alas, my lord, it was a mere device to...
Make your highness merry. When I heard you returned without your wished adventure.
Oh, master merchant, you adventured well to cheat yourself thus of 1,000 marks.
How now, my lord?
Nay, but I'll see your breast. Mine eyes desire no lower object.
Go to, read your errors.
I cannot now return, honest inventor. Brother, embrace your child, your second heir. I found firm witness in her bosom here.
Art thou Emilia?
Emilia, your daughter, once a Turkish prisoner.
Receive a joyful blessing. Rise and say what wit or power freed thee.
Dear father, the manner both of my enlarging and capturing I'll relate when more convenient time and place shall incite me. But upon this occasion, pray give me leave to put my brother beside his melancholy.
I prithee, do so.
Why, how now, student, grand magician, Puritan? Come, you never played the wag. You know not Winifred's hem, nor the Count's vault.
A mort man? What, can Polymetes daunt? Hath a not Hiron here?
Zoons. All will out. Brains.
Now for 100 dozen of larks to make a pie of the brains.
Well, done it was, and out it must.
Why, how now, Polymetes? In a dump? Where's your Venetian merchant and your sister?
Who? Emilia? Why, look you here, father. Do you think I knew her not? Ask the boy and Julio. Do you think I would have maintained her as I did, but only for affinity's sake? What said I at first, nuncle? Did I not urge affinities? And you would see me hanged, say, and I did not urge affinity?
And yet you pleaded hard for a night's lodging.
Only to try thy honestly. Ask my uncle else.
Enter Horatio's page, who whispers with Polymetes. He's a sweet womanist.
No more of that, niece. You're a wag.
Well said, old water rat. But that my brother conjurer should fail in the black art.
In the black pudding. Pish, of all arts else, only the law is firm.
And yet that danceth changes every term.
Well, just on. Gallants, and uncle, you that make a fish at the black art, my books to the piece of errors where Venus and Adonis stood kissing, and the cuckolded punter Vulcan watched them, and all your byways to food, I raise up my aunt, your late wife, in the same proportion, habit, and gesture she usually wore in her lifetime.
Do that, I'll swear there's virtue in thy art.
And if I do not, say philosophy's foolery, logic, legerdemain, and conjuring, many conny catching, as indeed it is. And now, by virtue of this wand, each of his circle keep his stand. Now Belial and Ascaroth, sole commanders of the north, by Hecate's head, Erinnys snakes, Styx, and all infernal lakes, I charge thee, kneel to Proserpine, and by her license all divine, dismiss the Countess from those shades where pleasure springs and never fades. Festina Cito Citius come, pre-tenant of Elysium.
Enter the Countess. She writes a little, throws down the paper, and departs.
The Count looks pale.
It starts Horatio.
What writs the shadow?
That these lines will show. Horatio, base Horatio, poisoned me. I was your sister, right mine injury.
Horatio?
Yes, Horatio poisoned her. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, sorry, I missed my place in the script. Revenge it, Duke. Be a true justicer.
Revenge it I will. Dangerous homicide. What reason led thee to so damned a deed?
I loved her, wooed her, my hot love denied, changed into hate. I poisoned her. She died.
Sounds this like truth?
And if you think I'll lie, ask Lurdo. His damned tongue will answer.
Had he a hand in it?
No, I will demur.
Revenge it, Duke. Be a true justicer.
He gave the poison.
And you laid the plot.
Knit up two villains in one riding knot.
What quillets now?
nonplus.
And Francis, if you want Emilia back.
Hold on, I'm muted. Senseless mute. Silence cries guilty, and let's fall the suit.
Our sentence,
sentence,
guilty.
Then be this your doom. You shall be closed alive in her dead tomb.
How's your reprieve?
Our punishment defer.
No, we must be an upright justicer. To the execution.
Do, the world shall prove my heart's as bold to die as 'twas to love.
Fair lady, so is not mine. I'd give my goods for a good habeas corpus to remove me to another country.
Leave demurs. Close them into that grave, that dead man's inn. Pity true virtue should be lodged with sin.
Make room, dear madam, for this leave doth give, to die by thee, with whom I could not live.
Unwronged Countess, though I hated thee, I come to take my latest sleep with thee.
Countess in the tomb.
Kind, thou art welcome, and shalt ever have my arms thy winding sheet, my breast thy grave.
Sister?
Aunt?
Madam?
My much wronged wife.
Justice, great Duke, give me my husband's life, both his and his. If your demand be why, see she survives, by whose death they should die.
Alive?
Unblemished?
Lad, I gave her poison.
And the page is also Francis. Yes, you're still back.
I could tell your honour a tale in your ear to the contrary. I must needs say your will was good, but my father, being your drug seller, instead of a deadly poison, gave you a sleeping potion. Do you remember the echo of the tomb? Though I played the knave with you, I did like an honest man with her.
Thou didst indeed, and I'll requite thee well.
How now, uncle? What think you of scholarship now?
As of the law, good as it may be used. But to my wife.
Brother, I'll speak your part. Receive her, love, and lodge her in your heart.
Nocte diec.
Shall I do then?
Justice shall mercy thee. And by our command we banish thee the court, though not our land. Your course is virtuous. Let your honour grow till age hath clothed you in a robe of snow. Lastly, thy merit is not trivial that turned to mirth a scene so tragical.
And we have an epilogue. I'll ask Eric to read the epilogue.
Who would have thought such strange events should fall into a course so much smooth and comical? Who would have thought such treachery could rest in such a smooth and virtuous seeming breast? Who would have thought a bud of this young growth should, out of present wit, reach us both? And to conclude, who would have thought the ear of your mild patience would so patiently bear with these our weak deserts, which, if they please you aught, 'tis less than we desire, more than we thought.
And play ends. And you know what? With a minor tweak, that pretty much sticks the landing, because you know what? No one actually gets married. And that's almost always the problem with a comedy, is that you end up with these horrible people getting married to people who we quite like. And actually, apart from the reconciliation between the Countess and Lurdo, which I think we could easily finesse, they're all they're just there at the end. Lots of things to say about this, but I'll go around the room first. Lynn.
So by finesse, you mean we're not doing that?
I mean, well, there are several finessings here. She could just not come out of the tomb and they get executed.
Yeah. But they do shut him in the tomb. Bye, guys. Yeah, kind of shades of Dante's Inferno in there. Yeah, I'm actually going to go kind of final thoughty because I'm going to duck out a little early. So I really, really, really want to workshop this now because I think it's important for the actors to know who knows what when. Is Polymetes, does he actually know everything the whole time? Like he says, oh, I knew it was my sister. I knew she was my sister.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think he's just vamping.
But he is somehow in cahoots with the page and knows that the Countess is alive.
He gets a last-minute notification, enter Horatio's page, and whispers. So I don't know if he knows that beforehand. It's like, okay, we're going to save your bacon now with a thing. You can actually do some conjuring.
Oh, yeah, that will redeem me in my father's eyes. And, now how do you play the recognition between Emilia and Ferneze? Well, how does Lurdo know? Yeah. So, I mean, I think it needs, I really want to, like, play around with this and workshop this and think through who knows what, when. But it's tight enough to be doable and bonkers enough to be really fun. I think your target audience, the ideal audience, would be nerds like us who have seen or read The Duchess of Malfi, who have seen or read The Spanish Tragedy, who get the Easter eggs. But anyone who's just sort of familiar with early modern drama and the conventions, I think would enjoy it because it riffs on that in a really fun way, I think.
I mean, it's positively the importance of being earnest at the end, sister, aunt, madam. It's so over the top. And all you need to do at the end is actually not have the Countess necessarily reunited with Lurdo, just banished with Horatio, and that would be a perfectly satisfactory close to it. He doesn't deserve necessarily to die, but he does deserve some comeuppance, which this doesn't really deliver. But this demonstrates one of those things about Boys' Company plays that is quite different to most Playhouse drama up until possibly at this point, is just look at how many lines are just one or two words. It's, this is something that has to be drilled in something that's like a rehearsal process. This isn't something you just hand someone a cue script and say, go away and learn it. This final act is so complicated in terms of, it was difficult to do it on Zoom because it's always difficult to do that kind of dialogue on Zoom, especially a cold read. Everyone's trying to remember who they're playing. But this has got to go bam, 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 bam. And you've got to really drill that and make sure that everybody's absolutely on fire, because then you get the bonkers out of it. And I love the way the page ties up the plot, actually, at the end when he says, do you remember earlier in the play when I mentioned my father was apothecary? Oh, look, the whole thing's come full circle. That's neat. I like that. For a play that really is mostly just running plot and not really thinking about why anything's happening, it's nice to have occasional moments where it's like, oh, we thought the plot out before we started. Honest. We got so many nice bits in this. I really like all the Emilia and the fact that they've dressed was it Joculo or the other one?
It was
Joculo was dressed as the sister, and Julio was her gentleman usher kind of.
And they're all trying to do asides of going, this is the answer. This is the answer. Yeah. So
that could be funny.
Yeah, I mean, this whole final scene is actually very, very nicely farcical. I think it's got such potential. The only irritating thing about it is everybody's on stage, and that slightly enlarges the cast size from my ideal number. But I think Antonio can go. We don't need Antonio. Angelo. We don't need Angelo. Angelo's a pointless character.
You might not need Adam.
Yeah, we can condense some of the minor parts and conflate them into something else to make that dance along. But otherwise, no, it's a tight bit of silliness, mostly, seems to be. Thoughts from the room about this closing before we go into final thoughts? Any more on this business? Lots of nice things. Sarah, then Eric, then Alan.
I'm feeling very conflicted about this play because on the one hand, I love the fact that no one got married. It's like the fact, that Emilia doesn't get married off to some twat is just marvelous, and I am totally here for that. The sad thing is that I, having really enjoyed her character, like at the beginning, today I just found her really annoying. Because of what we were talking about earlier, about the fact she doesn't really have any interiority. She doesn't really seem to do anything other than the bounce, And then when she reveals herself to her father and he doesn't believe her, there's no kind of, she's like, oh, okay then. And off she trots and then she comes back. And it's like, I don't know. She's very, very one note. In spite of the fact she's, she's witty and she's fun. She just, on the page at least, she really doesn't go on any kind of journey. She's exactly the same at the end as she is at the beginning. And that is such a waste of a character on this plot, because we've read so many great female characters in comedies who end up at the end being married off to someone. It's like, oh my God, she really doesn't deserve that. She needs a better ending. And here, the heroine gets a better ending, but I just don't care about her, honestly. I just don't, because she's gone on no kind of journey. And so I think you'd have to really, in production, you'd have to really direct the shit out of this and find a way to give her a journey, not through what she says, but the way she says it and what she's doing when she's not speaking.
I don't think anyone gets a journey in this, to be honest. I mean, there's some people feel a bit sad at the end. This is a very surface play. It's all about the entertainment value of what they're doing at any given moment. I think you're asking too much for Emilia. That's not what it's not. I mean, it's not that Emilia, in contrast with any of the other characters, go, "Oh, this person has had a great journey." No, but that's not what the play is doing, and that's true to what the play is trying to do here.
I mean, Polymetes is really irritating as well. I mean, kind of all of them are, but it's just, I think it's such a shame that we actually get this, for once, we actually get this heroine that has a good ending, and it's kind of wasted. I'm like, oh, it's a shame.
I mean, I really enjoyed playing Emilia today. I mean, as a part, I think she felt like a puck apart, as something you could do something with. But you're right. I'd say that this isn't. I don't think the player is trying to do that. But maybe another one will. Maybe one day we'll find it. It'll be out there. Eric, then Alan.
When Joculo turned up dressed as her, I thought the way the play was going to end was completely different, which was I thought that basically she was going to try and convince her father that he's as good as me, even though he's my page, and like marry. Because at the beginning, the first time we see them, like Joculo and Emilia, he's talking about how much he loves her and like sort of that kind of thing. Obviously, it might not be romantic love, but in that context. But I was thinking that it would have been a great ending for her to go off with Joculo into the sort of sunset. But maybe that's just me.
We can add as many endings as we like. Alan.
Yeah, I must admit, I wasn't quite sure what the point of the impersonation was. And I'm just wondering whether quite a lot of this isn't actually just riffing off themes that were common in theatre at the time. I mean, we've commented on several which we're allowed to, and others which are forbidden on the grounds of the source material.
Move on.
So I'm just wondering whether an awful lot of this is just ripping on other stuff that was around in the theatre at the time.
Well, I mean, a lot of this is. I mean, we're full of quotes and things going on. I don't recall necessarily as this precise kind of situation appearing, and it does have a certain plot function. Polymetes is sort of trying to. I found the sister, and I haven't been wasting my time, and I do have these magical powers. He's trying to sort of turn the situation round still. So it does have a plot reason, and of course it's just a really good setup, which is fun to do. Okay, final thoughts time. It's not a big cast. It's not a long play. There are some tweaks and adjustments to make, but I think this is just rollickingly silly and full of potential. I mean, we were just talking earlier about the scene of the cleanup scene while the Joculo's doing his stand-up routine. That actually is potentially really good, whereas initially I was reading, I have no idea why this is happening, and it's full of little set pieces. It's set piece after set piece after set piece, but it is always moving the scene forward. So I'm really liking this as a very silly, relatively doable play that on the whole sticks the landing with just some minor tweaks to the ending however we want to go. Eric, do you have any final thoughts to throw in?
I enjoyed it. Which sounds, I mean, okay, aside from, the Horatio going, sort of full on, like, I will kill her because she doesn't love me. And Lurdo's kind of lewd interludes, which are kind of weird. I want to work out all the physical funny business just because it looks like fun, like sort of what is going on with Lurdo and the others, behind the arras in that scene. What is going on with the whole like Joculo dressed as Emilia. It just like it has so much potential.
I mean, and also that even the smaller parts, and there are some the pages and the smaller servant parts. They've actually got a lot of physical business to do, even if they don't have as much dialogue. They're busy. Everybody is busy in this play, and I like that. I like busy people. I'm curious now. I'm just thinking about the disappearance of the Duke for so long. Who might he double as? Would he double as Win? I'm curious about that. Yeah, I think he's got to be Win. So that creates an interesting doubling situation for at least for a modern production. Anyway, Rachel, any final thoughts?
Well, as this was the only section of the play, I thought I don't have any coherent final thoughts. I want to go back to the beginning and see how it all began.
Fair enough. Olga, do you have any final thoughts about the play overall?
Well, as someone who hasn't read the beginning too, it's a bit more difficult for me, for instance, to follow all the ideas about Emilia, because on one hand, the play struck me as something that is really bonkers and has potential for great farce. There's a lot of moving the plot forward and plot twists and stuff. So yeah, it can be funny. But at the same time, yes, I totally agree with what was told about the characters lacking some, well, I wouldn't say depth, but good dynamics, because they are sort of a little flat. And for instance, as I read Polymetes, I noticed that for someone who appears to be quite intelligent, there are moments when he's just standing doing nothing. And it's pretty unnatural. So yeah, there are pros and cons in this. It is rather, yeah, I'm in double mind about this play at the moment.
Yes, I mean, I don't think this play is not trying to have hidden depths. I don't think it's trying that. This is a farcical thing. And if you're not aiming for laughs, I think you've really got to go home.
It's more a question of how playable it is. If the character hasn't got any journey or any development or any even, it's more difficult to play. It's just. Yeah, it's great that Polymetes is so different every moment, but there must be some inner logic, and sometimes it's just impossible to find.
I don't. With farce as a form, by and large, there is no. It's the thing about farce is it's mechanistic fashion. In fact, this is less mechanical than farce in that sense.
Also true, yeah.
It's that question of what the text is trying to do and whether it does it quite well. It doesn't do depth, but I say I don't think the author's trying. Lynn has gone. Francis, any final thoughts?
Yeah, not much to add, except I agree with Sarah that Emilia kind of runs out of steam in the second half. And as Eric says in the chat, the page has a bit of a journey, and I think it's sad he doesn't end up with the Countess at the end, because I think he's the most appealing character. I think the page.
Page is lovely. It's a shame Page doesn't get a speech at the end. Maybe the Page get the epilogue or something. That would be good. Give that to the Page, making a note. Because the Page really saves one of the acts earlier in the play when you have this really horrible scene and then it's counterpointed with this lovely scene with the Page. And yeah, I want more of the Page. The Page's tale. Sarah, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I am not really a farce person, I have to say. I mean, when they're done really well, there's a joy in watching them when they're done really slickly, which obviously you wouldn't even attempt this unless you could do it really slickly. But I don't know. This is not landing for me, and I wonder if it's because so many of the characters are just so ghastly. Like, I take your point about none of them go on a journey. None of them are very well rounded. You don't get that in farce, but usually in farce the characters they're a bit daft. They're silly, but they're not nefarious. Whereas there's a lot of very nefarious stuff in this. There's a lot. There is nobody in this play who is really likable other than the page, really. And I guess the Countess, maybe, you know, we certainly have sympathy for her.
What's unlikable about Emilia?
Oh, I just find her insufferable. She's just so fucking glib. She's just I've got a witty comeback. Oh, I've got a witty comeback. Oh, I've got a witty comeback. And it's like, oh, really? Can you not just like show a bit of like emotion for 2 seconds? I don't know. I personally found her really deeply annoying. I didn't yesterday. I did today, as Francis said. I think she ran out of steam, and that just kind of annoyed me because she was so one track, one note. So yeah, for me, if I'm going to enjoy a farce, I just have to find the characters quite lovable in a very daft and silly way, or at least some of them. And here, it just didn't work for me. There were too many people in it who I really didn't like and who left a nasty taste in my mouth, and so I just found the whole thing slightly off-putting. Yeah.
Okay. I'll stop there because I just go. It seems like we've read a different play. I mean, I'm sort of going. There are two horrible people, and then there are some slightly questionable people. But in performance, I don't see that. Anyway, I will stop now. Alan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not sure how well it would work as a modern stage production unless you got an audience of the sort of anoraks like us who are into the plays of this period, and they're actually going, oh yes, I can see where he nicked that bit from, and that bit, yeah, that's a riff on Faustus, and that's a riff on so and so, and it almost felt, and I know I've said this before about other things, that there's almost a review element in it of, yeah, that bit worked quite well at the theatre last week, last month, last year. We'll have a bit of that, and then try and sort of stitch it together somehow with a moderate degree of success. And certainly the final sequence of it felt to me as it was almost a little rushed. Yeah, we're running out of time. We better just try and tie up all the loose ends we can and hope the speed we're doing things means that any ones we don't leave tied up, the audience won't have noticed.
Structurally, this is one of the tidiest endings we've had in ages. As well, and also the business that they're doing on stage is actually quite original. We haven't really had any. I mean, it's true. There are lots of things that this play is quoting, but I don't think actually it matters to the scenes as they're happening whether you get that quote. They feel like genuine Easter eggs that if you get the joke, they're extra. But they're not exclusionary Easter eggs in the sense of the nod to the wink. Do you know what this bit is? So I don't think that's a real problem. I feel my legs are working really under the table here. Eric.
Technically, I already had my final thoughts, but I have two things to add. It reminded me a bit at some point of like Night of the Burning Pestle, where you have this episodic thing going on, but that has a better like sort of an entire framing device, which obviously helps a lot. And makes like sort of, you know, you can step into the world of the play a bit differently. And also the other thing was, I was wondering where this lies in John Day's career, because like obviously it's very different reading something from an experienced playwright and reading it for like, you know, some like if it was Haywood, we'd be like, what the hell is this crap? Whereas you know, if it's someone more who's like still cutting their teeth in the art form, you might forgive them certain things. I don't know. Yeah, just
well, it's relatively early, but in theory, he's potentially done some earlier plays than this, and has got a sense of it. I mean, it feels episodic because, of course, it is obeying an act structure. So each act is doing a unit of action, but each act is also moving the action forward. It's not like a Haywood play where you have an act and you're sort of going, what was this act for? Why was it here? As it were. Every scene is moving the story forward, or at least the action forward, even if the story is sort of irrelevant. It is a sort of thing to hang your hat on. Any additional different final thoughts anyone wants to throw into the ring? No. Okay, well, that's it for now for law tricks, or who'd have thought it. I feel we need a big sign to get the audience to say that every 5 minutes, as certainly in the first half of the play. All that remains to thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. I can spring a cock.